The idea of Germany winning World War II is a very interesting alternate history scenario. Even I covered it. There are many different ways that such a thing could happen, but here's the special one. Let's set the stage. It's spring of 1940. Not only had Germany conquered France, but it seemed possible that they would defeat Britain too. They nearly wiped out the BEF at Dunkirk, and within months they would launch bombing raids all over the island. In our timeline, Winston Churchill led Britain against the full force of Nazi Germany. However, there were a few who might have ended the fight then and there. So what if World War II ended in the West so quickly? What if Britain surrendered in 1940? There's many different ways that this could happen, but I'm going to choose Lord Halifax accepts the role of Prime Minister instead of Chamberlain. With this, by the time France is defeated, Lord Halifax would surrender to Nazi Germany. The final peace treaty would see Vichy France recognized as the official government of France, and Germany would regain their African colonies, as well as the Congo. In our timeline, Hitler didn't really wish for Germany to control much of Africa, since he believed the temperature was unhealthy for Aryans. But in this timeline, he would know how much of a morale booster it would be for Germany to regain its colonies, and he would promptly agree to it. Since Britain was no longer an enemy, it was to be likely Germany would coerce them into becoming a co-belligerent in any future wars. From Hitler's perspective, Britain was an Aryan nation, so he wanted to ally with them. Italy would still be a defunct nation in this timeline, as Britain would prove a better ally, so Italy would be invaded from north and south. Northern Italy would become a Nazi puppet state, while southern Italy would become a British protectorate. Their colonies would also be taken by Britain. Germany would also go about extending control to the Balkans. Due to most of the Balkans being wide open, it's likely Turkey would join the Axis and invade Greece. This would give the German army access to the Caucasus during Operation Barbarossa. Germany with a better political position would still invade Russia in this timeline. However, something not talked about in World War II is how the British government really hated the Soviet Union. The parties that dominated the British government really hated the idea of a lower working class revolution. So in this timeline, Britain would help the invasion of Russia. Also remember, this is around 1941 and 1942, where nobody knew how evil the Nazis really were, as the Nazis made sure no news of the Holocaust made it out. The British Navy would sail to the northern coast of Russia and southwards to conquer Iran. This was in June of 1942. At the same time, a massive German offensive would be going on. So along with the British landing on both coasts, it's likely the Soviets wouldn't survive this. The Pacific War would still happen, but with Britain being a better ally, it's likely in this timeline Germany would denounce Japan. America would focus on mainly the Pacific and defeat the Japanese Empire. With everything else happening, it's likely the Russians would lose World War II. By the 1950s, the Russian border and German border would have become a permanent war, as Germany would continue to conquer Western Russia. Britain would expand their empire by taking neighboring regions of Central Asia, Iran, and Afghanistan. With Russia now being so weak, all the conquests of Japan, including China, Indonesia, Japan itself, and Indochina, would fall under American influence. By the 1950s and 60s, a Cold War would break out between America and Germany, with Britain in the center. The British Empire and imperialism as a whole would survive longer. With this Cold War, the former Soviet Union would duck down and become a massive North Korea by cutting itself off from the outside world. In Europe, with Germany securing their domain, they would spread their influence. In Africa, we would see France's colonies split, with the Reich controlling the Sahara colonies, while de Gaulle's Free French movement controls the remainder. We would see these two main powers wanting to control more than their enemies. With Denmark under German control, Greenland would be annexed by the Americans. In response, Germany would push Britain to hand over Iceland, which is then made into a German territory. This is now a sore spot where both political blocs would be sitting eyeball to eyeball. Entering peacetime, the center of the world would remain Nazi Germany. However, like I said in my Axis Victory video, the Nazi economy was built off of debt and couldn't survive in peacetime economy. In the West, guerrilla forces would continue to harass the Germans in France, keeping the area under heavy occupation. With Hitler's health decaying, two factions would form the Nazi government. Robert Speer would lead the Peace Party, whose place is to maintain control across the Reich and prevent another war. Meanwhile, Hermann Goering would lead the War Party, believing the Reich should start another war to fix the economy. With the world sitting on the brink of war and Nazi Germany ready to collapse, another war is imminent. But what will start it? Well, that is beyond me. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you later. Bye!